This is the
Sexist
Sexist Podcast, hosted by two exes
who know love, loss,
and everything in between.
Let's talk relationships where love gets messy,
Honest, and a little hilarious. Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome back to the Sexist. We've got an interesting episode ahead of us today. We're actually in the same location. It's a nice location, you know,
Yep.
well lit.
I'm not traveling. I'm in California now.
It happens from time to time. You actually are here, so
Nice.
try to do some episodes while we're in the same location.
Yeah.
Dealing with technical difficulties too, which is really fun. Kind of learning as we go. So, yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
What are we talking about today?
This episode, we are going to talk about the various definitions of relationship styles. So, polyamory, monogamy, ethical non-monogamy. We're going to go over some basic definitions of what those are. We get that question asked a lot. In fact, I went live on TikTok recently, and the number one question was, what's polyamory? So I think we owe it to our audience to kind of go over that.
What is polyamory?
Well, let me tell you. Polyamory. I like to preface this definition with polyamory can mean a lot of different things to different people. The definition fluctuates. I'm taking one from offline, and then I can tell you kind of what it means to me. So polyamory, it's a form of ethical non-monogamy that involves committed relationships between two or more people, typically romantic. Okay? So it's all about love, baby. Like, that's what polyamory is the primary focus of. For me, it's meaning that I can love multiple people simultaneously, whether that's romantic or friendship or familial. All of that is wrapped up in my polyamory, but that's not always the case for everybody.
Yeah. And I also think it doesn't have to be, when you say romantic, just to preface, I don't think it means to be sexual either. You know, it can be intimacy. It can be a relationship just off of friendship, like you mentioned, or just communication. It doesn't have to be sexual as well. Usually it tends to be that way because of the nature of it, but not always.
Yeah, there's plenty of people that are in polyamorous relationships that are asexual, meaning that they don't engage in sexual activity, but their relationship is very much romantic and loving in nature. So it can include both sexual and non-sexual relationships and a variety of dynamics surrounding commitment and love. Common misconception with polyamory is that there's no commitment, right? You're just out there loving everybody and not giving a shit about commitment or settling down or whatever the more
It's not the 60s.
Yeah.
We have definitions now.
We do. We have a lot of terminology, actually. When I was looking up definitions, I realized that they could write entire books on terminology just associated with like polyamory, non-monogamy.
Yeah.
And there's still new terms all the time that like I'm learning and going, oh, I better look that up because I have no idea what that means.
Yeah. We should talk a little bit also about our story and our genesis of polyamory, because, you know, why should people even listen to us about this stuff, right? Like, we're just two people talking to you guys about this stuff. Who are we? Why do we have any kind of authority or not authority on any of this stuff?
The lived experience is going to be mostly what we're talking from here. I've also done a ton of reading. I'm a deep diver. When I am interested in something, I will scour the internet for all the resources. At the end of this episode, we will share some resources to get you started if you're just into it or you're just interested in learning more. But
well, way more than me. I mean, I think I did when I first got into it, because I had never even heard the word polyamory. I had no idea what those, you know, poly and amory even meant. So I had a deep dive, and this was like 12-ish, 11-ish years ago. So I don't check it out as much now because you're kind of still in the thick of polyamory. But maybe I should talk about a little bit about how I got into it, and that's a good segue for you. At the time, I was single, and an ex-girlfriend of mine who me and her had 3 different chapters, and this was our third chapter. We started to see each other, and it was just casual. And we both knew it was going to be casual. We both agreed on it. It was totally fine, and we were very comfortable with each other, anyways. And so she comes to me and she's like, "Hey, I really enjoy our time together, and I'm starting to like you more than just something casual." I'm like,
Mm.
"Okay, cool. We've done this road before." She's like, "Also, but there's a little asterisk there." I'm like, "Okay, what's that mean?" And she's like, "I am polyamorous." I was like, "Okay, cool." I had no idea what she meant. I had no clue what that. I was like, "Right." Well, I was like, "Okay, what? I don't know what that is." And so she goes on to tell me that she has a partner. That partner is married, and that partner is the one that got her into polyamory. And so she started to tell me a little bit about what it was, which is having multiple loving relationships with people. And that's
What was your first like instinct? Like when she said that to you and she explained it, like what was your first reaction to something like that?
um, I thought crazy, but also I thought coming from her,
Mhm.
I mean, she was like LA actress, the crystals in the rocks in the house, and sound, all the sound stuff she could do, like a
Mhm.
very like LA type of person. So it wasn't such a shock coming from her,
Mm. Mhm.
um, as far as like trying new things. She's always trying new things to broaden her mind, and this
Yeah.
was just one thing. But I had just never even heard the word. Growing up, I grew up Christian private schools, Christian household. Grandparents were Christian. Like that was monogamy, and that whole environment was what I was brought up in.
Mm.
And so hearing polyamory, first I didn't know what it meant. Second, I also didn't know the meaning of it, like what it
Mm.
really meant to be polyamorous. Does that mean just having multiple partners? Does that mean you're just dating and doing whatever you want all the time? What does that mean? Does it mean just having a girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever,
Mhm.
and then you have side pieces, or situationships, or just constantly dating? I had no idea. So she said that to me, and it was shocking. I was like, okay, I need to know what
Mm.
this is. And I told her, um, this sounds interesting. I'm not sure if it's for me, because it sounds like a lot coming from someone who had been monogamous. I think I was like 31 at the time. I'd been monogamous my whole life, and really had not stepped outside of the boundaries of even understanding other types of relationship structures.
Mm.
So I was like, I need to do some research and homework and go on YouTube and just binge and go down a rabbit hole of understanding what any of this means. And so I did. And it's funny, I came back to her with like all this polyamorous jargon and lingo. And she's
Mhm.
like, I don't even know what that means. I'm like, cool, great. Like compersion, I learned what that word means, which
Mhm.
is a fantastic word, which we may get into later. Um, and so, I kind of took a chance on it. I took a chance on the idea of expanding who I am, and how I want to be in relationships, whether it's monogamous
Mhm.
or open or poly, or all the other things out there. So I did that for like a year, and it was just an amazing experience because it taught me how to be such a great communicator.
Mm.
It taught me, I think, a lot of times in on the male side of things, we're not really good communicators. I think women are very cerebral and they're overthinkers
Mhm.
in a good way, and it makes women communicate like heavily.
Yeah.
Whereas men, we're the silent, strong types. We are the get out there and just do it, but we don't sit down and think, and then we don't communicate how we're thinking.
Hmm.
And when you're in a polyamorous relationship, you really have to do that. So I'm always a huge advocate for telling men, like, I know maybe polyamory is not for you, maybe open relationships aren't for you, but if if you can try it, you will learn a lot about yourself, so much, and you
Mhm.
will grow, and that growth will definitely spill over into monogamous relationships if that's the direction you want to get back into, because you will learn how to be a better communicator for your partner.
Mm.
You'll learn how to be a better communicator to yourself, so you can understand, okay, what do I like or don't like in this relationship, so that I can communicate that rather than keep it in and let it build and fester and bubble up, and then it explodes into something horrible.
Mm.
So, so yeah, I remember I had done that for a year. I started traveling a lot, and I was walking my dog Django in Dublin, in the largest park there in Dublin. I can't remember the name of it. And I get a phone call from you.
Yeah.
And we would talk all the time anyways. And it was funny because I remember thinking she could have just texted me. I don't know why she needs to call me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let you.
Yeah, I'm not a phone call person too, so it's probably alarming that I'm like making a phone call. But to backtrack slightly, uh, when Lex and I reconnected after the end of our relationship, if you don't know that, we dated for a good amount of time, and he had told me about this polyamory thing, and I just remember thinking, hell to the nah. Like, absolutely not. No way. Like, I also grew up religious and in the church, and it was one man, one woman, and like, this seemed crazy
I
to
mean, you were
me.
married.
I was married before. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm divorced, happily divorced, and that's a story for another time. But yeah, so I remember him telling me about that, and I just thought it was crazy. But like, you're my friend, I support you. Like, back in my head, I'm thinking, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I start like dating in LA, and I start seeing polyamory, ENM in profiles a lot, and a lot of the people I'm attracted to have that in their profile. So finally, I start talking to somebody, and I'm like, who can I ask about this? Well, I'm gonna call Lex. Like, so that's what I did. I was like, hey, remember when you were telling me about that polyamory stuff? I'm thinking of giving it a shot.
Which you are like, originally, this is crazy. I can't believe you are doing this.
Yeah.
And I was all for it because I grew so much in that relationship. I was like, yes,
Yep.
good. Try it. Swipe right.
Mm-hmm. It's like, just give it a shot. If it's not for you, it's like, again, you don't have to commit to anything. It's kind of, you know, explore. Like, open yourself up to it. It was the right time in my life as well. I think I was just like trying to find myself, and I moved out to LA to be an actor, and met this married man. So he had a wife, and on the profile, like, I have a wife, and I'm like, obviously he's cheating. Like, clearly this person is cheating on their wife, and they're going to use me to do that. But it was nothing like that. I went on my first date with him only, and we got to know each other, and there was definitely sparks and connection. The second date was with his wife. Not in a romantic interest or any type of like throuple situation, just meeting his wife and understanding that this was absolutely okay with them. And that was, let me tell you, that was something else, to be sitting across from somebody's spouse and holding their husband's hand and like talking about stuff. Like, I just remember it being so surreal. Like, we're sitting at this Asian food restaurant, and I'm just like, I can barely eat. I'm so nervous, and I'm just trying to like be present and kind and nice, and like, I think he like went to put his arm around me at one point, and I like
Flinched.
like, oh, don't do that in front of your partner. Like, it was all very, very foreign to me. But I can remember it like it was yesterday, just like sitting there and realizing that people actually do this. This is a real thing, and people are participating in it together and happy for the other person. Like Lex mentioned, compersion, and that's a big thing in this community, is like feeling happiness for seeing your partner happy,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't involve you.
I would say it's the love that you feel for someone else being in love.
Yes, yeah. And that's an interesting new feeling when you feel it for the first time.
It's the opposite. I remember when I first learned about that word, it was what's the opposite of jealousy? And so like when I was reading about this stuff, there was no good word for the opposite of jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the polyamorous community came up with a word, which is compersion, which I loved that idea. I loved that word of compersion, because like it's like you seeing your best friend being in love with their partner, and you still love them just as much.
Mm-hmm.
regardless if you have a sexual relationship or not with that person, you love that they're so happy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what polyamory is. It's that you love them so much that you are okay with them being with other partners. It doesn't take away from the relationship you guys have. You guys have a special relationship that is unique, and that's the time that you give one another. And when they have a special relationship with somebody else, nothing is taken away. Because it doesn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of jealousies and things can start to stem from as well. Like I've definitely experienced both at the same time. I've had compersion and jealousy simultaneously. And it's a confusing experience because you're like, well, how can I feel really excited for my partner being in love and meeting this new person, but also feel jealous that they went and did an escape room and I really wanted to do that escape room with my partner. And now I'm jealous that they did it and I didn't get to. Right? Like, but I'm still like really stoked and happy that they found this person that they really like.
And I think you bringing up the word jealousy is good in this context because I think a lot of people talk about polyamory as in jealousy doesn't exist anymore. And it most certainly exists. I mean, if you look at dogs who love unconditionally, my dog still gets jealous if I'm kissing somebody. He'll run in and like get into the middle and start kissing it'll be a threesome of kissing, and it's annoying. And so he's has unconditional love for me and anybody else he meets, but he still gets jealous. It's a very natural animalistic instinct to feel jealousy, this sense of like ownership almost. But the difference is what you do with that. How do you manage those emotions when they come up? How do you articulate those feelings of jealousy towards your partner in a way that isn't malicious or hurtful? It's more, this is how I'm feeling, and this is something that hopefully we can address together, or something I need to work on, whatever that is, right? Yeah, jealousy is such a big topic in polyamory.
I think it's a learning opportunity because anytime that I've felt jealous, if I start to ask myself like, why do I feel this way? The initial like thing that made me jealous is never the thing. You know, it's like it's never that thing.
Yeah.
What's the deeper thing that's causing me to be jealous right now? Like, oh, I'm jealous that they went to that escape room, right? Like, okay, that's the initial catalyst of it. But what am I really upset about here? That is it the escape room or is it something deeper? And if you keep exploring that, you usually get down to the basis of the jealousy. And it's usually something that you personally need to work on. Like it can be a really big teaching moment.
Yeah. Like I can think about my first time being jealous with the woman that brought me into polyamory. And I'd known her since she was 19 and I was 31 at the time. So we had a long connection relationship of knowing each other. And so here I am in this new environment of a relationship called polyamory and feeling all the emotions and feeling all the things because I had never done anything out like this. And here I am knowing that she on Tuesday night was going to see her partner, the married partner. And, he was very woke kind of person. He was very spiritual, like all the things that I'm not really. I'm more into business and personal growth, but he was very much into the spirituality side of things and going super, super deep into that, which is, it's just not me. And that's totally fine. But she got a lot of value out of that relationship. So it's something that I knew I couldn't bring. And she would always say like their sexual chemistry was really good. And so here I am thinking, oh my gosh, he's like a better lover than me. He's got a bigger dick than me. And so then I have to think, okay, well, does my partner say anything like, am I a horrible lover when we're together? Does she say anything about that? No. Does she say anything about my penis size or that it's too small? I mean, no. So what am I jealous about? When we're together, those aren't issues. So I'm manifesting this jealousy out of nothing. Even if those things are true, if he is a better lover and he does have a bigger dick than me or does make more money, does it affect my relationship with my partner? No. I can let it affect it by being jealous and then causing drama and doing all the things that make a relationship horrible. But these are things that I'm internalizing. These are things that are my issues I have to deal with. And until it's something that it's a we problem, then it's really just a me problem. Then I need to squash the jealousy. I'm like, everything is fine. It's just me. Like, as long as our relationship is great, that's it. We're good. And then I had to, obviously that took some time I had to learn those emotions and how to control them. But that was like my first time of jealousy. And yeah, it was a lot. I remember feeling very anxious and like didn't sleep that night, and then wanting to text her like 6 a.m. and I know she doesn't get up till 10, and I'm like, how did it go? What happened? I need to know everything. But yeah.
It can be, yeah, it's a learning experience. But I want to be clear too that jealousy happens in all forms of relationships. Um, I've had jealousy with friendships, even. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but your best friend is becoming what appears to be closer with somebody new, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna lose my best friend. Like, we're best friends. Like, nobody else can be her best friend. Like, I hate that. Like, I don't want anybody to like dethrone my position. And I've had those kinds of jealousies with friends in the past where I'm like, like, they're not gonna take my spot. But when I look at it, my friend's not making me feel that way. She's not doing anything, or he's not doing anything to create this emotion. They're not comparing our friendships or saying no to me and yes to them. Like, there's no evidence. What I try to do when I start to get jealous or I have like these spirals, it's like, what evidence do I have that these things are actually true? And if I don't have any evidence, then they're not true.
Mm.
Your brain will believe whatever you repeat in there. So if you keep going, my best friend's not going to be my best friend anymore, well, that's what your brain's going to believe, and then it's just going to keep going in that cycle. So dating polyamorously or even monogamously with dealing with jealousy is like, you can learn from that and realize that, like, okay, my partner is not doing these things to hurt me. They aren't, there's no evidence to support it, and you can start to work through that. Highly recommend therapy. If you're a very anxious person and you're opening up your relationship or just dating in general,
Yeah.
Boy, therapy can help. If you find yourself in anxious spirals, they can give you the tools to start to think through that kind of stuff so that you don't sabotage your relationships, do self-reflection that ends up hurting yourself. Like, you want to stay on top of that kind of stuff, because open lifestyles, polyamory, ENM, they're going to push that button if it's there for you. If you have a jealousy button that gets pushed really easy, it's going to challenge that for sure.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. People say it all the time, right? I don't know if you probably get this as well, where it's like, I could never do that. I'm so jealous. I'm like, well, you think you're more jealous than I am? Then I get competitive. Like, oh, let me outline all the different ways that I'm jealous and I still participate in open relationships and polyamory.
I love that question though, because I'm like, what are you jealous of exactly? Because then it's about them.
Yep.
It's their issue of jealousy. And so I could never imagine my partner being with somebody else. I'm like, well, why not? Like, do you like let's take time for instance. I always like to use time and references to stuff like this. Like, if your partner goes to work all day and you don't know what they're doing for those 8 hours of the day, they're doing whatever they're doing at work, right? And let's just say hypothetically that they go and they are meeting with a partner and they have sex and it's great, and then they come back to you and nothing has changed in your relationship. They're still attentive, they don't look at their phone, they listen, they communicate very well with you, they give you stability and support and all the emotional things you need. But yet during their work hours they did have sex with a partner. So what has changed in your relationship? It's knowing, that's all. Now you just know. So you're jealous of knowing now. That whole argument always is funny to me, because it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Why not just try it and see?
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's not for everybody. Like, I think it's good to know yourself and know your boundaries and know where you want to play and where you don't want to play. For me, I think like I've been on a like a journey of self-help and discovery for a long time, and polyamory is part of that. But also I've gone back to monogamy. Like I've dated just one person for a chunk of time, and that's also beautiful. So I don't want to like make this seem like we're just like preaching polyamory, because I truthfully it's not for everybody, and
Yeah.
it's up to you to figure that out. But I do think that it's important that you figure it out. In the same way that I think that everybody should have a slut face. Like total change of topic, but I think that like it's really important. Obviously, if you're religious and this goes against your belief system, like don't do it, maybe. But for the rest of us who don't have like strict boundaries on what they should and shouldn't do with their bodies, have a slut face, try out polyamory, like figure that out for yourself, because this predetermined everybody does monogamy thing that a lot of us grow up with doesn't necessarily fit who we are or who we are becoming either, or the relationships we're in. So I do encourage people to just try
Yeah, I mean,
if they're interested.
people getting divorced more and more. And I don't want to necessarily go down that road, but it's
Yeah.
like, it says something, I don't know. Try it all so you really know. And the thing is, they say you change every decade, right? So it's like you're always going to be growing and changing and evolving. So it doesn't mean that, in this decade you're monogamous and the next decade you want to try something else. But I think one of the big differences about men and women, especially, is that women, they are trying a lot more. They're trying different things more often. Where men really get stuck in their ways, and women will go to men a lot and be like, I want you to do these things. I've grown so much, and I want to do these things with you. And guys will be like, well, I'm still the same guy that you married. And that's the problem, is that they haven't grown together at the same pace. And I think, especially for men, it's like, get out there and try something different, try something new, grow a little bit.
Yeah.
Get outside of your boundaries.
I think that's a huge thing in being in a relationship, in any relationship style, is that the thing that you need to be aware of is that change happens, right? Like change is going to happen, and sometimes you're going to have to re-fall in love with someone over and over again in their new iterations and their new versions. And I think that's why friendships tend to be really successful, because our friends kind of like come along on that journey with us, and our romantic partners don't necessarily. Like one person changes a whole bunch and the other one stays the same, like you were talking about. Then there's this huge divide of like, I've changed this much, now I want you to come meet me where I'm at, and they don't want to.
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Like that's, in monogamy in particular, that's going to be a really hard struggle for the person who's grown and the person who hasn't grown and changed. Like, you married me, this is how I am, like you should love me this way forever, and that's just not really how it works.
The thing is what works best for you.
Yep.
And like personally for me, I'm not polyamorous at this point in my life. And that's not to say that I couldn't go back to it again. I found that polyamory was very draining on my time. I have multiple businesses and things in my life that take a lot of my time. And one of the things about polyamory is that, you're in multiple loving, real relationships with people. It's like, you are my girlfriend or boyfriend, you are my girlfriend or boyfriend as well, or however many you have. So those are real relationships. And so you have to dedicate a lot of time with those. And for me, it was a lot to manage. And coming from like the male's perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, God forbid that they're all on their period at the same time, and I have to be the shoulder to cry on. It's like, fuck me, man. And like, maybe they don't have other partners, and maybe they're not as good at listening or whatever. So it becomes a lot sometimes. And so lately it's been more of open relationship structure that fits in my life right now. But that all is like, that's really dependent on the person too. Like, and I don't mean me as the person, I mean the person that I'm with. Because I may see someone and I just want to spend all my time with them. And that's going to be a monogamous phase with them. But I may say up front, like, listen, this is what I like, and it could change, and we can change together though. I just want to know if you're going to be open to that in the future, because I don't want to put a label on this box and then throw it into the ocean and that's it forever.
Yeah.
This is our label and we can't change anymore. communication is key. Like communication is key. Like the one we haven't talked so much about communication, but like it's just the biggest part of everything. Anything, relationships, friendships, your boss, anything, right? Communication is so key. So it's like really communicating with your partner on not just now, but like you're also investing in a future with this person too. You're making an investment and hoping you get a return 15, 20, 40 years from now, and that return is going to be fruitful, which is fruitful is like, you're still together, you're still happily in love or whatever. So communicate all the potential scenarios out the gate, because you don't want to get stuck with like this, which what Monroe was talking about, where, one's growing and one's not. And then you have to end it. When you had something good, it just needed to be communicated better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the communication part of it is only as effective as someone's ability to comprehend. So I've been in relationships where I've been a really great communicator, but my partner couldn't comprehend it. They couldn't take it in. So even though I'm communicating everything I need, exactly how I need it, outlining everything, they can't comprehend it. Uh, they can't get there with it. So they're hearing me and they're listening and they're nodding and they're affirming, but when it comes down to it, they don't actually truly comprehend what I'm saying. So those types of relationships, you're just shaking each other, just like, I just need you to understand. And they're like, I understand, but they don't, right? Like, not really. And so there's communication and there's comprehension of that communication, and figuring out how to make sure that, like, when you tell somebody something, that they understand it and hear you the right way.
I mean, that was the biggest issue with like my last two relationships. I was dating a Spanish girl, and we first date both talked about wanting open relationships. She was super into girls. Awesome, cool. Me too. And so we're like,
likewise,
great, we can do it. We can be open. And as we continue to be monogamous, kind of in the beginning, just because we were traveling together, and it's hard to be open when you're traveling, when you're so closely traveling together for months at a time. But then when there's opportunities to be in separate apartments or separate countries, there was always rules of, okay, well, we're open, but you can't do it like this. Only on certain days of the week. Okay, let's do that. And then I would always tell her, listen, you are priority one. You are my girlfriend. So I am going to prioritize you. If you say, hey, Monday's my like open day, I can do whatever I want. And you call me and say, hey, I really want to go to this thing Monday night, I'm going to cancel any other plans, if I have anything with anybody else, and make you the priority. And miraculously, she would do this every week.
Every Monday.
Every Monday, and like I think I had like Thursdays as well. Like the rules, like that's the thing. In open, poly, anything, you create your kind of your rules of the relationship, right? And so in our open relationship, these are the rules that made her feel comfortable, and I was completely fine with that. But yet she kept on breaking the rules that she was creating, because she ultimately didn't want me to be open. She wanted me to be open on her terms.
Control.
Yeah. And she had a very specific definition of how I am supposed to be open. Like I couldn't use dating apps, basically. Her definition of me being open was I go out with the boys and I meet some girl randomly at a bar and it just happens. And I told her, well, when would that happen? I mean, I don't go out to bars and clubs like that anymore. Like maybe in my 20s, but not. I'm 42 now. Like I don't do that as much anymore. Maybe when I'm in Europe, but even when I'm doing that, I'm having fun with friends. I'm not trying to hit on anybody. And so, and also, I don't want to drink like I did in my 20s. I don't go out trying to drink and talk to girls. Like that's not fun for me as much anymore. So she wanted me to be in that kind of a situation. Like, I'd rather use a dating app. And then, I can tell people how I feel and kind of what I'm looking for, and that I have a girlfriend, but we're open. And if they're okay with that, great. It fits my time because I also work a lot. And she didn't want me to do that. And so it made like being open, even though that's what we both communicate from the get-go, really difficult. And for her, she made it impossible to be open because she ultimately really didn't want me to be open.
Yeah.
And the same with my most previous ex. She was the same way. She was okay with it. And as we continued to go down the road and I started seeing other partners and stuff, she didn't like it less and less. And instead of communicating with me, she decides to cheat on me in an open relationship, which is very difficult to do, actually, if you think
Oh,
about
but it happens.
it,
It happens.
which is interesting.
Yeah.
So it's communication is just it's a big deal, and like it's not just communicating with your partner. It's communicating with yourself. You have to understand if you're going to be okay with this, and if you're kind of okay with it, then make sure to talk to your partner and work through it through time.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be an ending to the story of your relationship going. Really try to understand what you want.
It's communication and comprehension. So if you have one or the other, you're going to be in for a world of frustration. So it's understanding that. So I think that segues nicely into talking about, we've given you some definitions of what like polyamory is. Ethical non-monogamy is like another flavor entirely. Open relationship is another flavor entirely. And we can give you definitions all day long. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the individual person. So when you're dating and you're getting out there again, and you see these terms in profiles, even monogamy, it's important to find out what that means to that person that you're dating. Getting clear on what, like, if someone is polyamorous, for example, what does that mean to them? And how does it show up in their life? Because in all the dating that I've done, I've heard so many different definitions and ways that polyamory and ENM show up in people's lives.
Yeah.
Like in monogamy as well. I think an interesting conversation I've had is like, what in monogamy do you consider cheating? What activities? Do you have to actually have sex with someone to cheat? Or do you also cheat? Is flirting with someone cheating? Is looking at somebody else cheating? Like where are those lines and boundaries? For some people, they think that's just assumed, and it's not. And I don't think that people should assume anything about monogamy, polyamory. I think it's good to get like really good clarity on these types of things.
I think it's crucial. I just had this conversation with someone I was seeing, and they were talking about the previous relationship, and it was like they said, yeah, if they are emotionally cheating, or what was it? If they were even looking at somebody like on social media, then that is cheating to them.
Yeah, liking photos.
Yeah, or even just following girls, or like just seeing them in their feed, that is cheating to them. You know, and to other people, that's fine. Like it's not a big, there's no threat there. But for them, clearly, that's an issue. And so you really should talk to your partner towards the beginning of the relationship. Really try to map out some of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I always say, like, in the relationship, you unfortunately, you have to wait like 6 months to get to meet the real person you're dating, right? Because they're like, everyone's in the pink cloud for the first month. And then it's like no one really wants to step on each other's toes with being too left or too right as far as what they want to say. They don't want to they don't have a ground to stand on. They don't want to be on the soapbox about their true beliefs, because they want to make sure that what they say is going to be okay with somebody. But you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a dick about it, about who you are and what you believe. But, and this is where you can really work on your communication skills with somebody. But it's like, hey, how do you feel about this? Because this is how I feel, and I'm curious, and I want to make sure that we're aligned on that. And it can be over the course of, a few dates, right? But like, try to get it done in the beginning, because then you're just going to be with someone for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then you find out the real person that you're dating, and then you just wasted that time for both of you. And well, why do it? I think a lot of people don't do that. And I think it was Lewis Howes was talking about his relationship with his wife, and his now wife, they just had their baby. And he was like, he dated some girl and it ended badly, and then he started a new relationship, and he was saying how that with the new relationship, he's like, I want to start with going to therapy immediately, so that we can ask all the questions with a third party.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it's like we're dating, but therapy
Huh.
dates in the beginning, and then we work through the questions so we kind of know if this is going to be for us or not. And then like the therapist is kind of the arbitrator. So I always kind of liked that, and I try to do that in my last relationship, and I put it on her to find a therapist because I feel like women are a little bit more particular, and that just never happens. That should have been a red flag in the beginning for me. But I always like that idea of when you're starting a relationship with someone, maybe try therapy and see if if they even want to. That could be a red flag.
Yeah.
They may think it's too much. Like, oh my gosh, do you want to do therapy already? And it's not like that. That's not the context of the reason why you're trying to do it. But I always like that idea of like using that as a way to ask the tough questions in the beginning, so you can see if this person is going to be right for you. Like, they may check off a lot of boxes, but then how are they emotionally? So
it's an interesting thing. There's a therapist that I follow on TikTok whose name escapes me right now, and it sucks because I want to give him all the credit. But he was going over like 10 things to live through with your partner before moving in together, and it's like really basic things. Like, what is like one of the items was what is the shelf life of leftovers in the fridge? Like, if you leave those leftovers in there for 2 days, can I then eat them? Or would you just prefer that I never touch your leftovers at all? And like, that sounds like a stupid thing to think about, but it's not. Think about the fights you've had in your relationships that are around little things like this, and getting to know those pieces can be really difficult. I mean, obviously you're not going to do that in the first couple of dates, but like, it's important to have conversations with these people that you're dating early and often, even over stupid shit.
I agree.
Even over just like, you know, I like, one of my big ones is I'm not a cuddle me to sleep person. When it's time to go to bed, it's time to go to bed. I don't want your body on me. I don't want you touching me. Like, I don't want to snuggle while we're sleeping. I'm here to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
my bed is my dungeon. Like, I have all the light blocked out. It's cold in there. There's a fan in my face. Like, this is how I operate. And for partners that need to be cuddled to sleep, we don't mesh.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to give in on that, and neither are they. And neither of us should. So we're not compatible.
However, there's always compromise too, right?
Sure.
Like, it could be, let's cuddle, maybe not to sleep, but let's cuddle a little bit, and then we'll separate either in the bed, we'll separate into different beds. So that could be like a compromise.
And that's been a way that like we've worked through that in the past. It's like, okay, we'll cuddle right when we get into bed, and then it's like, okay, good night, and then we turn our separate ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that works perfectly. It gets the cuddle need met, and I'm not being cuddled or smothered, I call it. I'm like, I can't with it.
Going back to questions to ask, it reminded me of advice I've given to women over the years, of like 2 questions to ask men that they're initially starting to date. And one was, do they make their bed? And if they do, that tells you something. And if they don't, that also tells you something, the type of person that they are.
It does.
They're responsible and all these things, right? The other one is, has he ever been the best man at a wedding?
Oh, I like that question.
Yeah. And if he's never been the best man, that tells you something too. And that can tell you like a lot of things, actually, with the type of man that he is, as far as not having friends. He could have 0 guy friends, and that's an issue. There are lots of red flags that come up with that answer.
Oh, I'm having a moment right now. Like, if y'all are just listening to this on a podcast, oh, my face, because it's true.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of issues that I've had in my own relationships are men who don't have friends. And if you've never been a best man, or you don't have a close group of friends, like, that's so tasking on your relationship, and it does say something about you. You might be the nicest person in the world, but it's like, why don't you have any friends? Why are you not investing in other people?
Yeah.
Like, building community. It's a really, really tough thing, and really something you need to know going into it. Some people would prefer that. I've talked to plenty of women who are like, I don't want him hanging out with his guy friends. Like, no, thank you. Hard pass. He gets into trouble. So they want a guy that doesn't have any friends. So that's not me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think if he has friends, I mean, if he doesn't have friends, then he likely will cling to your guys' relationship.
Yes.
And then it's like the puppy dog syndrome or whatever, golden retriever syndrome or whatever it is. Um, and then it's smothering in other areas of the relationship. And then there's like there's no personal growth of him having his own friends and kind of stepping outside the boundary of the relationship so you guys can come in and talk about your days together. You know, this is what I did with my boys today or my friends today or whatever. But I think is important. Even if you work with your spouse on a day-to-day basis, you need to have that time separated.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think like, I mean, we could go on a whole tangent on like the importance of community and friendship and family and things outside of your relationship. But yeah, asking those questions is paramount.
Yeah.
Absolutely paramount.
Going back forward again now to what you were saying about being in smothering in the bed and stuff. My most recent ex, she was a very, very light sleeper. I'm talking pin drop. But for her, it was like, listen, my hard pass is basically sleeping in the same bed. She needed to be in separate rooms because she's such a light sleeper. And so I had to come with terms if like, am I okay with that or not? And if I'm not, obviously there's no more of this. And I was okay with it. That's fine because I enjoyed her company in the time. And so it's like, sure, that means we just need to get, when we're traveling and doing hotels and Airbnbs and stuff, or hotels, same bed, that's fine. She'd get earplugs or whatever. But like, I have a separate place, and it was a 2-bedroom, so she would always go there and sleep there. If we ever got Airbnbs, I would always make sure to get a 2-bedroom so that she could be in the other one. And like some guys are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're doing all that for her. But that was my choice. I was okay with that. She communicated that with me, and I had a choice to be like, okay, I don't want to be doing that, or I'm fine with it. It's fine. And I was, and it was okay. So communicating with your partner about this stuff again in the beginning is just so important.
It is. It's how you're going to understand them, how they think, how they operate. It's great to be in a relationship with someone you're attracted to, but do you like that person? Do you actually like them? I think I've dated some men in the past who don't actually like women.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna have a whole topic, I feel like.
I know that's its own episode, but like, do you actually like this person? If you weren't sleeping with them, would you still spend time with them?
Yeah.
Like, do you like them?
For men, I think that's a big one for men, which we will talk about more. But
yeah,
I think a lot of men, I agree with you. Like a lot of men don't actually like, they don't like women. They just want to.
They're attracted to us. They are very, very attracted to women, and they want to have sex with women.
That's lust. They want to fuck.
But they hate femininity. These people usually also hate gay men because of the femininity that they exude, right? Like it becomes a thing. Anyway, I could talk about that for like a million years, but back to the topic at hand. So yeah, it's asking questions. You're going to do that at the beginning of your relationship anyway. In relationship style, definitely get to the bottom of like what that means for them and does it align with yours. So for example, when I'm having conversations about polyamory, I look for very specific things that fit my lifestyle. I consider myself to be solo polyamory. So what that means is I am my own primary partner. Any other partner after that is secondary to me. So I look out for myself and my relationship with myself above all else. That's the hierarchy that I have. Other people, they make their relationship their primary relationship. So they'll come into the dynamic as having a primary partner. Maybe they live with them, they're married to them, but that person takes precedence over all of the other partners, right? It's really good to get clear on that. I generally like to date other solo poly people because that aligns with what I'm looking for. I have dated polyamorous people that are, have varying levels of hierarchy, and sometimes it's fine, sometimes it's not. But you got to ask the questions. You need to understand what the dynamic is and where you fit in that mold.
Yeah.
And that can be a challenge. That can be a real challenge in the beginning when you don't know yet what you're comfortable with and what fits, and that's where communication is going to be key.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of these common questions that we've gotten over the years. These are going to be a little skewed towards polyamory just because it's such a hot topic, right? Like everyone wants to hear about polyamory because it's just so outside of the box of even open relationships. It's different.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that you shouldn't ask. Uh,
Yeah.
One of the big ones is, do you have a favorite? Do you have a favorite partner? I always tell people, I'm like, would you ask someone if they had a favorite child?
But people do ask that.
They do. I know, and it's inappropriate in that case too, I think.
And some parents say they have a
They
favorite.
do. Listen, some information, even though it's fact, doesn't mean it needs to be shared. It hurts people's feelings. So if you do have a favorite child or a favorite partner, it's just like, that's not cool. Like, you might have one. You might. It might be true, but
Keep it to yourself.
maybe, yeah, maybe don't go around saying that. Because, like, what about your other partner? That's kind of mean, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think that's the thing with polyamory. In like the purest form of polyamory, there's no hierarchy.
Mm.
And I think a lot of people will talk about primary partners in relationships with polyamory. And primary partners are good to like move in with, to marry so that you can focus on taxes and all that stuff. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that is their number one.
Yeah.
And everyone else is secondary to that. Really, in the best sense of polyamory, it's everyone has the same hierarchy. Everyone is the same equal. Maybe not the time is spent all the same, just because of life, but everyone else has the same stature.
It's tough. It's tough because I think there's descriptive hierarchy and prescriptive hierarchy. Uh, an example of it is if I've been seeing somebody for 3 years, are they going to have the same access and privilege to me in my life as someone I just started dating? No. The answer is no. So that creates hierarchy in that this partner is new and this partner is established.
Yeah.
So like these things happen. How you navigate that is really, really important because the last thing you want to do is make your long-term partner feel like you just give this same level of access to everybody immediately, and that can be jarring.
Yeah. Even if it's technically okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a lot to swallow.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had one partner who would just like jump in with 2 feet in every new dynamic. It's like all of a sudden that person is partner and access to all the same. So it's like even if that person has been around for a week, it's like we're same level.
Would you get a sense of jealousy?
Not jealousy. I just thought it was naive.
Yeah.
So it was like off-putting. I don't think I was jealous of the access. It was just kind of off-putting. Like I don't give friends that level of access to me until I know that like they can be trusted and like I've vetted them more.
Well, they deserve it.
Yeah, yeah. And so for me it was like I don't like it.
Yeah.
But it's communicating that too. It's being like this is how I feel. This is the feeling that comes up for me and being able to name that is important.
Yeah. Another common question you shouldn't ask is like, how's the sex? And do you guys all have sex together?
Do you ask your monogamous friends how their sex is? Like, maybe you do. If you do, then like by all means ask that question.
I think, yeah, that one. I think that the sex together thing, I've gotten a lot in the past. It's like, oh, so does like if I have two partners, right? And then they have partners. I'm like, oh, well, so let's just say that's like 5 people. So you guys are all having like orgies all the time? I'm like, no.
No.
I've actually never met their partners, which is also okay too. Sometimes you want to meet them. Sometimes you all can go out to dinner. Monroe had a birthday party and she had 3 of her partners there. And that was a lot at the time for you. I remember.
Yeah.
I got the picture.
Yeah.
But she didn't think she was going to get it.
Yeah, Lex was like, I'll take this picture.
So
it's
like,
my pride and joy now.
yeah.
Even though none of us are together anymore, it's still like, it was like one of those moments where like my friends realize that I'm actually am polyamorous and everybody is in the know and not like freaking out about it.
Yeah. But like, it's rare. You still have to like other people. It's like, just because you're labeling yourself as polyamorous doesn't mean you're just open and game for everything. That's not what that means. You can still have your preferences and you still want to like someone. Just because your partner likes them doesn't mean you have to, or even want to get to know them. Like, there's a high probability because you like them and they probably like similar people like you. So there's no fear in it necessarily, but you don't have to. And no one's having a bunch of sex like especially if you're not, you're not bisexual or
Yeah.
anything. So, when I was polyamorous, I didn't go and hang out with my partner's partner.
Hmm.
It didn't appeal to me. And I didn't have the time anyways. Now, if
Yeah.
it was a birthday situation or whatever, that's fine. But like, yes, polyamorous people aren't having all sex with each other. Does it happen? Yeah,
Hmm.
it might, but not usually.
Yeah. And I try to tell people it's like we're not all polyamory just for the sex.
Yeah,
It's a great perk, but like for most of us that are getting into it's so much more than that. To diminish it down to just like having sex with multiple people, like I don't need to be in a relationship to do that.
yeah, just be single.
Yeah, I can just be single and do whatever I want, you know? So
Yeah,
I try to like separate polyamory and sex, even though of course they go together and need to have those like conversations, but it's not just about the sex, people.
yeah. Let's see,
Um,
another one. We wrote some of these down, by the way.
mhm.
So, uh, aren't you afraid of STDs? I mean, shouldn't anybody really be afraid of STDs? I mean, be careful
Yeah,
always,
use
regardless.
protection, have these conversations. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to somebody and I was like, when's the last time you were tested? And they can't give me an answer. And
Yeah,
I'm like, weren't you just telling me about like the sex party that you went to and like you have all these partners, you don't ever get tested? Like, for me, that's a hard stop. Like,
yeah,
if you aren't taking care of your own health, how can I trust you to take care of mine?
yeah. It's important. You know, I had to get tested because my partner was at the time, well, she was someone I was seeing,
Mm-hmm.
not a partner, but she was starting OnlyFans, and so she was going on an all girls trip to a different country, and they needed to know that I was safe, and I
Mm-hmm.
totally got it. So I went and got tested. Everything was fine. It doesn't need to be a scary thing.
It doesn't.
Just it should be for your own knowledge, but also for the safety of your partners that you're with too.
Take
But
care of yourself and the people you're with by knowing your status always. And it's very simple. There are places you can get tested for free. Most insurances cover it. So know
yeah,
your status.
it's cheap in Europe. I mean, I'm in Europe a lot of the time, and like they're all over the place because people have way more sex in Europe than they do in the States. So they make sure everyone's getting tested. And we said STDs, but I think we should be saying STIs, right?
STIs, STDs, STIs. Uh, I think it's important that you have to have these conversations in early and often.
Yeah.
Early and often. Know your status. For the love of God, use protection. All right. Unless you know your status and you guys have talked about this before, I never recommend fluid bonding when you're in open relationships or
What's fluid bonding?
fluid bonding is when you,
Neophyte.
yeah, when you actually mix fluids. It's exactly what you think. So,
I love that kind
penis
of
and
stuff.
vagina, vagina and
Yeah.
vagina, dick and ass, like all the things. If you're not using protection to prevent the skin on skin contact, that's fluid bonding. And that is your highest chance of getting an STD. So, be aware of that. Also, I'm a big fan of vasectomies. So, take care of that. Use protection,
Yikes.
all of the things.
Vasectomies.
I love a partner that's already taking care of that, and then I don't have to think about it. It's great.
Oh,
Um,
one day
but
maybe.
yeah, that's a whole other episode and conversation to have. Like that, children, how to manage that. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not a mother. I don't plan to be a mother, so it's going to be a tough call for me to talk about that one.
So, don't you want to settle down eventually? This is another
Yeah.
question.
Oh, I'm settled. I feel like in my relationships, I feel settled. For me, this is as settled as it gets. Like, what about the relationship style isn't settling, right? Like, I
What does
think
settling down even mean? Like, I hope I never settle down. I want to live a very full, fun, adventurous life. Even the context of those words, settle down. That means to slow down. It means to die.
or to settle. I don't want to settle.
No.
I want to keep going. I want to keep having an awesome life. Like,
Whether it's
let's settle.
polyamory, open, monogamy, any of it, it should never settle down. It should settle up.
I like that. Settle up.
Have fun. No. And like, yeah, if you want to have kids, great. But that you can do that in polyamorous relationships. You can do that in
Absolutely.
open relationships too. It always goes back to communication, right? And what does your partner want? Is that important to them?
Yeah. What do you both want?
That,
Again, it's important to have these conversations before you dive into it.
but like, yeah, these are questions you shouldn't ask people. These are the questions what we're talking about here. Asking a couple whose decision it was to open up. That's interesting. I mean, I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one where I've been in a couple and they assume that we opened up after the fact. No, we started open, but it's it's a little invasive and a sensitive topic. It's like,
I don't know. I, I don't know. I feel torn on that one because,
mm,
like, if you don't, like, if it's a couple that's been together for a while,
mm,
and whether they're married or they've just been together, and you find out that the man wants to be open, it might tell you a little bit about the relationship
yeah,
where like it's something that he wanted and she's on the fence, but maybe he's more the stronger
mm,
of the two in the relationship,
hmm,
and so he just bulldozed his way into getting what he wanted because she's just submissive, and then they're open now, or they're polyamorous now, and
ooh,
then really it's not that they want that thing, it's what he wanted or what she wanted, and it is a recipe for disaster.
oh yeah. This is a common question that when I am going to be a unicorn for a couple, and if you don't know what that is, a unicorn is like a bisexual woman that joins a couple, whether just for sexual purposes or joining their relationship in a throuple capacity. Um, this is a question I ask because it's warranted, right? Like I need to know what I'm getting into, and it for me, it's clarifying whose decision it was, and I can gauge the level of interest of the other partner whose decision it wasn't. The last thing I want to be involved in is like dragging somebody into a situation they don't want to be in. And I've seen men not be the person who initiated it and women both. And let me tell you, it's awkward both times equally.
Yeah,
Equally.
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a question you shouldn't ask. Maybe a different way,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it is important if you're going to be the unicorn or
Yeah.
you're deciding to
If
be,
you're dating, it's a good question to ask. If you're not involved in their relationships, I'm not sure it's so appropriate to ask it.
yeah, because yeah, what does it matter at that point?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
So we talked about a lot today. We talked about like definitions of relationships, how to navigate them, communication. We do have some resources. So if you're still looking to like dig into this more, I'm sure there's going to be more terminology that we're going to say. I'll try to remember to give definitions or my version of definitions for words and things.
also leave comments if you
Yes.
want about any of this stuff, and like we'll go through them and we'll either do lives or we'll do reels on them,
Mm-hmm.
or we'll have whole topics that we'll discuss on the pod.
Yep.
So ask as many questions as you guys want.
Absolutely. The conversation is open. So definitely put your thoughts and comments and questions in the comment area. Couple of resources that I've found really valuable in my journey um, is a book called Ethical Slut by Janet Hardy. There is actually a workbook that's a companion to that book that's coming out in December. So when this episode airs, it's probably already out. So I would recommend picking that up and working through that workbook with that book simultaneously if you're looking into non-monogamy or even loving somebody who is non-monogamous or polyamorous. Another book is A Smart Girl's Guide to Polyamory. This was written by Dedeker Winston of the Multi-Amory podcast. Also a great podcast to check out if you're just getting into non-monogamy and polyamory.
Also, for the men listening, I think like I've read The Smart Girl's Guide to Polyamory, and some of these book titles are going to sound more for women maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but you get a lot of value out of reading them. So I wouldn't think that, don't say no to not, downloading these on Audible or picking them up wherever.
Yeah, check them out. I mean, if you date women, it's good to understand how women feel, think, and exist in the world.
Go watch Sex in the City too. I actually love watching that show, and I've learned a lot just by watching that. And it gives you something to talk about with women because
It's true.
every woman has watched that show like more than once. Like it's background noise when they're putting their makeup on. Like
It's
that's how
true.
much they know it. So It's also a really good show to watch.
Yeah, it's good for conversation.
Yeah.
I think you and I, when we first started dating, watched the Sex and the City movie.
Yeah.
You were like, "Have you seen this?" I'm like, "No." You're like, "We're gonna watch it."
I got you.
I got you. So impressive. A couple of other resources. There's a book called Opening Up by Tristan Taormino. That's a really good one. And also Polysecure by Jessica Fern. I've read all of these. I think they have some valuable insights in them. There are obviously lots of other resources out there. If you want to explore and learn more, definitely do that. Like, I encourage it. Figure it out for yourself and your relationship.
Cool. All
Awesome.
right. I guess that's the pod.
That's it. That's this episode. Yay! All right.
All right, you guys.
We'll see you soon.
Peace.
That's it for today's episode. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening, and follow us on socials for more real talk off the mic. You can also visit us online at thesexistpodcast.com to submit your stories and questions. Keep exploring love, dating, and everything in between.